Hi, Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper, back with another top 10 video focused on the best-selling items in the Boy Scout category of eBay. Now, this is actually number 29 in a series that I'm doing on my website, scoutpatchcollectors.com. This top 10 list covers the last 3 weeks of March 2021. And what's really interesting about this top 10 is everything in it sold for over $1,000 in the category, which is great, really interesting. But it includes things such as a scout axe, an 85-year-old piece of insignia, several shoulder strips, a pin, a merit badge sash, a belt buckle. In fact, there's only one OA piece in the whole top 10, and the best-selling item was a camp patch. So I know you don't want to miss it. Thanks for checking out this video. Let's see what the top 10 is.
Coming in at number 10, we have a really unusual item here, something that honestly I never would have thought would have brought over $1,000. The title is New Old Stock Vintage Plum Super Scout Axe, official Boy Scouts of America. This was an auction that garnered 26 bids, and what was interesting here is that there was 3 bidders over $900. So a lot of interest in this Super Scout axe. Now, I know a few people who collect axes. I confess I do not, and it's really just not an area of expertise of me, so I was really shocked to see this item sell for over $1,000. Number 9. Now, this is really a piece of vintage memorabilia. The title is a Bullion Patch 25-year veteran Boy Scout. An auction that sold with 11 bids. What I really thought was interesting here was this was an item I saw discussed on Facebook. I think it was Paul Myers who brought this out and commented because he felt like now this was a legitimate piece of vintage memorabilia. The story that he shared was in 1935, which would have been the 25th anniversary of the BSA, that they issued this bullion patch to those who had been continuously registered in the program since the very first year of 1910. Cool piece, never seen it before, didn't know the story on it. As far as this auction goes, there was a lot of action right at the end. This thing went from $137 to over $999 just in the last little while, last 20 minutes. 3 bidders bid over $1,000 on it, and it sold for $1,125. Great piece of memorabilia here. Never seen it before. Really glad to see that. Number 8, Boy Scout Lone Tree Council half strip. This is what I would call a khaki and red half strip. Goes way back in time. This was an item that was bought as a buy it now out of a store. In fact, Scout Patch Auction, TSPA, their store. You're actually going to see another issue from this council in the top 10 list that was bought from the same store. So this item, no bids here, just straight up a store buy, but a really old piece of memorabilia. These red and white half strips typically would have been worn by council professionals or people on the council level. Not all councils issued them during this time period, which I believe would have been pre-1952, so basically right after World War II up until about the early 50s. Number 7. This was really a shock for me as well. If you look here, there's 2 Rochester strips. Now, both of these would have been from that time period, similar to the one we just covered with the Lone Tree. So this would have been post-World War II, right up into the early 50s. The title is Vintage Air Scout Community Strip, Boy Scouts of America, Rochester, New York. Again, an auction with 19 bids. Now, obviously, the real kicker here is the Air Scout version, which is the one that's going to have the blue. This was a pretty amazing auction. What you had here was 3 bidders who were over $1,000 with some sniping happening in the last few seconds to win this with 19 bids. So very cool. I was kind of blown away to do my research and see this because in my mind, a community strip that's not a council strip, for example, not like a council name, I had no idea that these could go for that kind of money. I've had some community strips with Air Scout colors, and I've sold them for like $75 or $100 in the past. Had no idea that you could get $1,000 for something like this, but that's the beauty of eBay, and that's the beauty of running auctions. All right, number 6 is something really cool that I enjoyed seeing. Title is a 1930s 40 sash with 60 merit badges, squares, Type 1 Eagle badge. Now, I can tell you, because I collect merit badges and insignia, that this is not a 1940s sash. In fact, it is definitely 1930s, maybe even late 20s. This sash is filled with square merit badges, which all were issued prior to 1933. There are in the very back one or two rounds, which would have come right after that period. So it does kind of help see that this is a bridge period. At the top, you can see what we'd call wide crimped khaki, and that was the electricity merit badge and two of those farming that you see here in the picture. But this is a great, great sash. The bidding on it was really interesting. There were 3 bidders over $1,300, and the bidding ended in the last few seconds as they were going back and forth. What you normally see here is there's going to be some merit badges on there that are several $100s worth. Now there's 60 merit badges, so in this video I'm not going to go through all of them, but I invite you to follow my link and go to the auction and take a look and see. Now we're drilling down into the top 5. Number 5, the title is a Pathfinders of the Golden Trail Pi Gamma Tau Scout BSA Honor Society pin. I'll have a link in the show notes page to an article that this seller mentions. They had included a link to the usscouts.org site focused on honor society. So this was a campers honor society, what oftentimes we refer to as pre-OA society. And so these pins are very, very collectible. You may know that in recent years, Order the Arrow Lodge pins from this time period, from the 50s and 40s, have become very collectible, demanding really high dollar. This is really cool because it's a pre-OA society that had a pin here as well. So this was kind of based on the idea of fraternal order pins, which was something that was definitely a big deal back in the 40s and 50s. Number 4 is another auction that just blew me away. Had no idea that you could get a belt buckle to sell for well over $1,500. The title is Max Silber Buffalo Award Belt Buckle. 37 bids in this auction, and if you go and look at the bidding action, there was 3 bidders over $1,500, and this one was ended in the last minute with the snipes going back and forth. Now again, just blown away here. Had no idea that any of these Max Silber buckles would get that kind of money. The thing, when I look at this, there's great photography here. The sellers did a really good job, but it doesn't even scream out to me that it's a Boy Scout buckle or that it's Max Silber. I guess you just had to know. I actually am familiar with this consignment because I had an early crack at this collection and I didn't get it. And it was up in the Northeast, and so the family decided to consign it with this company. Noble Spirit is the seller name, and they've obviously done very, very well with it. I've had a lot of their items in my hot find, so that was a big miss for me. But I'm guessing that probably in the collection it was identified that this was a one of 25 known to exist belt buckle from Max Silber, and obviously there's got to be some people, at least 3 of them, who are really hot and heavy to get those. So fantastic end to that auction. Number 3, this is our final store-bought item. This is a Lone Tree Council. Again, if you see this color combination, that is for Sea Scouts. So this would have gone on the winter uniform for Sea Scouts. And again, this combination would have been so difficult because you're looking at a Sea Scout Council level person who would have had this on their uniform. This again came out of the Scout Patch auction, their store, and sold for, $1,700 as a buy it now. Nice sale. Number 2, this is a flap that actually has been on my needs list, but I've just recently made a deal to purchase one. This is a Sauhegan Lodge 447 F1A, a first flap. It's one of those that name and number collectors really have to chase down. And so what you see here, it's kind of funny. There's 3 bids on this auction, but if you drill down, you'll actually discover it's the same bidder who bid 3 times because he was worried somebody else was going to come in and get it. So it sold for exactly the minimum bid price, which was $1,800. A lot of money, but this is one of those flaps where you have a lodge that only issued 1 flap before they merged away, and it's a really, really tough name number item to get. So great pickup for that collector, and he was obviously willing to pay more because he bid 3 times, but luckily through the proxy system, without another bidder involved, he didn't have to use those insurance bids. And the number 1 item that sold on eBay for the last 3 weeks of March in 2021 was this Region 7 Canoe base. Now, you might look at this and wonder, what in the world? This thing sold for over $2,000. Whoa. I actually had a little bit of a heads up on this. The guy who owned this patch messaged me through our Facebook group and wanted to know my opinion of it. And what I shared with him, because he had posted it on Facebook, was getting lots and lots of interest. And I said to him, don't sell it to anybody on Facebook. If there's that much interest in it and you have no idea what it's worth, I would put it on eBay. And he went back and forth with me a couple of times, and I just kept reiterating, put it up for auction, see what it sells for, let everybody bid against each other. And that's what he did. And man, what a home run. An auction with 23 bids. There were bidders over $2,000. This one went into the last few minutes of the auction when the buyer finally picked it up. So that is a great piece. We don't see a lot of items sell for $2,200 in the Boy Scout category, and we sure as heck don't see a lot of camp patches sell for that. So the one that made this so special is on the patch, you see that it has MIWI. Now, when you see that, you're automatically going to think that's Michigan and Wisconsin, and obviously those are two states you probably would associate with Region 7. But Roy Moore chimed in on Facebook, and I might get this wrong, guys, but I think that it's like Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois. I think that's what or maybe it's Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana. I'm not sure, but those letters actually are for the 4 states that would have been in Region 7. And this is just a super, super rare patch for an area that there is a little rabid group of collectors that go after. So really, really obscure patch. So guys, that wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, kind of catching up on what some of the top selling items were in the category. Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper. Check me out on my website, scoutpatchcollectors.com. Also check out my eBay store, patchblanket.com. Thanks very much, guys.